Hi everyone, and welcome back to Break for 8. My name is Anne, and I'm actually going on vacation tomorrow for a few days, actually for like a week. And you know what it made me think about is vacation, right? We all dream about traveling, or many of us do as we get older. But then what if dementia arrives and disrupts everything, including all of these life goals and plans? So is it possible to travel with someone who's living with dementia? Great question. And my answer is this: yes, it is possible, but with a few caveats. So I've been seeing people take some really amazing and successful trips all over the world together. And I've also seen people, keep their travel dreams alive, but by leaving their person at home where they are safe, where they feel comfortable because, they're in their own space and environment. The goal today is to help you maybe not reach that point where a trip that you've eagerly anticipated becomes a nightmare. So, yes, travel is possible. And let's talk about some critical things to keep in mind when it comes to traveling. Before we go any further, I just want to say that the one thing I really don't recommend is having a person living with dementia travel alone. Even if they have an airline escort, airport and airline travel is really stressful and difficult for all of us, right? And those airline escorts are unlikely to really know anything about dementia, and certainly they are not going to know your person well and understand their needs. When you're deciding then about whether to travel or not with your person, think about how things go when you're in a new setting or you're out in public. Maybe you're out to dinner or at a family gathering or you're staying with friends. It's pretty common for people living with dementia to experience an exacerbation in their symptoms when they're outside of their normal routine. Like they could experience more confusion or more anxiety when their schedule gets disrupted, or there's more sensory stimulation than usual, or maybe there's a lot of people around and all the extra noise and kind of busyness that comes with that. So one good tip is just to think about how they seem when they're in these situations. Are they comfortable, or may they get a little bit agitated? Is that a factor? Do they need, how much extra assistance and support do they need from you? Are they apt to become lost? Could they become lost? So just take some of these things into consideration when you're making your decision, and be realistic about how much you can do to still enjoy the trip yourself. One idea is just to consider trying things out in a more local setting before hopping on a plane and traveling, hours overseas where you may be stuck if things don't go so well. So maybe you try staying overnight in a nearby town that's within driving distance, or if you have to get on a plane and have some trepidation about it, many airlines and airports these days offer programs for people with conditions that may impact traveling comfort. So things like severe anxiety or autism, and also dementia. They'll offer an opportunity in a group setting, along with other people and a tour guide, to pass through security, see how that goes, and actually board and get on an airplane. And, while your person probably isn't going to remember doing this, kind of doing the run through, you will be able to observe how it goes, how they seem before you make your travel plans. So just contact your airline or the airport that's closest to you to see if this is even an option. And if you decide to go for it, you're going to just know that you're going to have to do pretty much all of the planning and big decision making. Although, I will say offering your person some choices is an excellent way, for them to feel included. So do you want to pack your blue pants or your brown pants? Or should we stay at this hotel or should we stay at that hotel? you can offer them some limited choices to help keep them involved. Because remember, planning and decision making, are part of our higher level thinking skills, and these are impacted early on in most forms of dementia. So please do not put yourself in a position where you are following your person's lead. You need to be the trip leader now. And you're going to need to, oversee, or kind of supervise pretty much everything from making reservations to, packing luggage to ensure your person has everything they need. So here are some other quick tips and resources. If you're planning, if you can, plan to stay in a place where you have your own room and you have your own bathroom. It might be a much better option for you to go to a hotel than stay in a crowded space with a large group of people that may sort of, trigger some symptoms in your person. Secondly, please be open with others about your person's condition. They are going to notice something has changed anyway. So it's best to be upfront about it. So, you're not feeling pressured to keep a big secret, or you can opt out of things without feeling guilty, especially if you're traveling with family or friends. So, and also consider who you're traveling with, right? It's really nice to have helpers who kind of understand your person's needs and can give you a break, as long as they're flexible and you don't feel pressured yourself to move quickly or attend everything. So thirdly, bring along one of those business cards that you've probably seen that you can show to people. I'm talking about the ones that say something like, the person I'm with has dementia and may need some extra time. You can find those all over the internet. Most of the time, almost in every situation I've used these, the other person has been really compassionate and responsive to just, a need for, extra time and extra patience. Number 4, try to keep the schedule as consistent with home as possible. So, meal times, or the types of food you're eating, your sleeping time, your wake up time, if they need a rest break, those times. Next, importantly, plan for safety. Bring a nightlight along. Try to figure out a way to either block an exit door, or at least make sure that there's a way that you can be alerted if your person, tries to leave the room. Consider identification bracelets. Those are always a good idea. Tracking devices, bring those along, and notify others like family members or hotel staff, in case they see your person walking around. Let them know that they should not be alone. Next, bring along any equipment you use at home for accessibility. You can request that staff, or others at your destination arrange for things like, a shower chair, if that is something you need for safety. Next, plan for increased anxiety, especially if airline travel is involved. Airports are stressful for almost everyone, especially for people living with dementia. So try bringing along something that will keep them distracted, like a snack or photos or movies, noise canceling headphones, music, or they have an art or craft project they like to work on, magazines, really anything you can do to focus their attention, on something enjoyable and relaxing, and familiar. I also wanted to let you know that TSA has a program called TSA Cares. And if you call them, you can speak with a representative and just inform them that, you're traveling with someone who is living with dementia, and you're going to need extra patience and assistance when you go through security. They also know that, and then they'll also know that you shouldn't be separated from your person, if you're in security. So that program is called the TSA Cares program, and I will put the phone number in the comment section. There's also another international program that alerts airport staff to the presence of what we call an invisible disability, which many people have. and includes dementia. So you can actually order kind of a sunflower lanyard that your person can wear, and this just signifies airport staff and others that extra assistance may be needed, extra patience, right? And I'll also link in the comments section to this program. So nice that these things are available now. So I'd like you to consider this. And this may be a little bit emotional to think about. So if you have a special trip that you've always dreamed about, taking together, like going to Paris, whatever, consider this. Do they still remember this? And it may be helpful, instead of just asking them leading questions like, remember, you've always wanted to go to Paris. Would you still like to do this? And you may be more likely to get a yes when they really might not understand what you're talking about. Maybe you want to ask it in a different way. Like, is there somewhere you've always wanted to travel? Do they bring up Paris? Or maybe you're showing pictures of Paris, that special place, just to see how they respond. Do they recognize it? Do they light up, with recognition and, excitement? Are you getting a sense that they still know and remember and desire to go here, and they're not just automatically saying yes? Because if not, you may still be able to realize that dream for both of you of traveling to Paris, and maybe taking it along someone else while your person stays at home. Many people reach this point. It's possible that they've reached the point in their dementia journey where, travel may be too anxiety producing or too difficult for both of you to manage. So one of the things that kind of can extend travel time are dementia-friendly travel groups and trips. Look into these. It may be a great way to extend traveling. So yes, traveling definitely is still possible as long as we're mindful about our person's abilities, along with our ability and desire to take the trip with them. Okay, so it is now that special time where you can actually take a mini vacation from life right where you are in your own home. So we're gonna get started with our meditation. So please just find that comfortable space for yourself. Maybe by now you've carved out a place in your home just for this time. Please close your eyes. And let's just slow down our bodies, slow down our breath. The best thing about vacation, I think, is leaving all distractions and all the busyness and duties of everyday life behind for a little while. In a sense, we create a little space and distance and permission for ourselves to enjoy life, to focus on being instead of doing, to receive instead of give. Please bring your attention, your awareness to your breath. Notice how the air feels as it passes over your lips on your inhale and your exhale. may feel cool as you draw your breath in, and then warmer as you push air out. Spend a few moments here just paying attention to the flow of air as it passes over your lips and enters and exits your nose. Feel nice to picture your favorite vacation spot. I'll give you a little time to pull up this favorite memory. Once you've thought of this spot, place yourself there. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the sounds around you. Is there fragrance that you identify with this place? Spend a little time to enjoy your vacation spot right now in your imagination. No need to overthink or overanalyze this exercise. In fact, the less thinking, the better. Just be present with no pressure to do or think of anything. Many say this is the best part of vacation. No to-do list and very little thinking. When the mind is calm and relaxed, the eyes see more clearly, and we notice more around us. When the mind is quiet, the soul can speak. Your heart and your soul always have present to them. Just like you're doing right now. The music will continue to play a little longer, so you can extend this mini vacation for as long as you can. Thanks for joining today.